back, everybody, to another video here. Today we're going to talk about the great Zoot Sims. John Haley Sims from Los Angeles, moved to New York, did it all, played with Woody Herman, part of the Four Brothers, made many recordings, hundreds of recordings. I think some of his best work was on Pablo, especially the last 79, 80 through 84, 85. Zoot passed in 85. But we're going to talk about some of my favorite Zoot Sims records on Pablo, one other, and a couple CDs, and a couple Zoot Sims, just some great information about Zoot here on the channel. Anyhow, thank you for being here. You know, this channel is, I try to keep it on stuff other than new reissues, if you will. Kind of stuff that's been around or things that are still available that I think you all may be interested in. Once in a while I will talk about a new record. For example, I just got a record about a week and a half ago. I think most of you might have it. The Bill Evans Waltz for Debbie. Great record, great sounding record, great reissue. You know, Michael 45 did a great talk about the quality and the pressing and the packaging and all of that, as he always does, and other people. But I think that for now, I'm going to leave that alone. The best video that I've seen on this subject is Scott Wilson's The Pressing Matters. I will link that to the bottom here. He sums up everything I could say. So I'm going to leave this talk about the reissues to other folks who do a great job. I'm going to continue to discuss kind of vinyl and some CDs that are still around, available, and have some great music. There's so much out there. Anyhow, thank you for being here. If you like what you see, hit the like button, subscribe, all that. And let's move on to Zoot Sims. Thank you. So we're going to take this in a chronological order of the dates that they were recorded, not the release dates or the Pablo record dates. I'm going to put notes below this listing all these recordings with their Pablo number. We're going to have a couple other records too other than Pablo. But these are going to be based upon release dates. And again, these are, my favorite Zoot records. And, you know, yours may differ, but, to do a top 10, these are not, in any order of the ones I like. I'll talk about a couple, 2 or 3 that I just think are superb. But they're just 8 or 10 of the best Zoot records on Pablo. Let's start with Zoot Sims and the Gershwin Brothers. I have a funny title. The Gershwin Brothers don't play on here, but they're all Gershwin tunes. There is 10 tunes on this Pablo record. 10. I would have liked to see them do maybe 6, and let Zoot and Oscar, who's on piano in here, and Joe Pass on guitar, to stretch out a little more, but they decided they wanted to do 10 tunes here. And how do you pick out the 10 greatest Gershwin tunes? Well, I guess they're here, but again, great playing, great sounding record done in New York in 1975. I don't know who the engineer was on this. I bet it was Val Valentine. But at any rate, great record. Again, I think this would be in my top 5. But this is one of the early Zoot Sims records, with Oscar and with Joe Pass. Who else is on here? Mraz and Grey Tate. Great band. Too many tunes, though. Trying to sell records, maybe, I don't know. But, man, give me 6, 7 tunes on here. Let these guys play a little more. Would have been better than 10 tunes at 4 minutes of tunes. So, very clean recording, very good sounding recording, a great record. Zoot Sims, and the Gershwin brothers. Pablo 2310, 744, 1975. So let's talk about Basie and Zoot. This is, again, was recorded in I have some notes here, 1975, with John Hurt on bass and Louis Bellson on drums. Great sounding record. Zoot plays nice, real smooth, real warm. He had a really warm tone, especially on ballads. Very Ben Webster-ish. He didn't have that hard bop sound that like a Johnny Griffin, or a Joe Henderson had, which are great. I love the two of those players. Very different, warm, full sound from Zoot. It's a great record, great sounding record. Again, in the top 10, probably in the 5 to 10 range for me. But one of the early records, great cover by the way, and it's great to hear. Basie just never got in the way, just laid down changes and let Zoot play. Again, this was done in '75 in New York. Bob Simpson, what a great engineer! Look him up, and look up what he's done. I mean, talk about a Bernie Grundman or those guys. Simpson was right up there. And just was a great engineer. His son's doing some great work these days. But again, here there's only 8 tunes, and I get to play a little bit on here, and a lot of blues, a lot of great sounding tunes. Basie and Zoot. This is a must-have. Again, another record here from 1970. I think this is 76. No, this is 79 that I really love. Warm Tenor. I just talked about how I love Zoot's warm sound. Great sounding record from Pablo, and I guarantee you that it's another Bob Simpson engineered record. But what a great man here. Jimmy Rollins on piano. We're going to talk a fair amount. You're going to hear his name. He did, I don't know, 6, 7 records with Jimmy Rollins, perhaps. And I think Jimmy was Zoot's greatest accompanist, if you want to call him an accompanist. I think the records that Jimmy Rollins on piano that were records that Zoot had in his band were his best recordings. Really tasty player. Just knew just what to play, Rolls is on this. George Mraz again, and Mousy Alexander. I knew Mousy. I forget his real name, but everybody called him Mousy because he looked like a mouse. Really tasty drummer. I don't know what happened to him. He kind of matriculated into almost a swing Dixieland scene in New York. But plays well on here. I think it's the only Pablo record I've ever seen Mousy's name on. But with Jimmy Rollins, Zoot plays, again, 8 tunes on here. They stretch out. Great record, recorded in 1978, released in '79 on Pablo, 2310, 831. Real good record. And again, these Pablos are still pretty easy to find these days. Shortly after that, another record featuring the same band, with Jimmy Rollins, but now it's Shelly Manne and John Hurt again on bass. The Swinger. This is in the top 3. It's going to be fun because I'm going to have like 5 records I'm going to say in the top 3, but oh well. Great record. Definitely one that you need to have. I've got 2 versions of it. I've got the Japanese version with the obi, and the original Pablo. I will tell you that this sounds a lot better, a little brighter sounding record than this. But this is a great record. again in late 1979 in New York. Shelly Man, I gotta tell you, he's another guy that doesn't get enough credit as far as I'm concerned. Later in the year, in his years, working in New York with Zoot and some other bands. But this is a must-have. Look for this one on Pablo. And this is, what was it, 23-10-861, The Swinger. Now we move on to 1981, a record called I Wish I Were Twins. It's a great Zoot line. Zoot is known for some great lines. I'm going to talk about them later. But Jimmy Rollins again on piano with Frank Tate on bass and Akira Tana on drums. Good drummer. I first saw him with Arch Farmer and really liked his playing. Kind of a very really thinking type drummer. Really just knew when to play, what to play. Kind of drummer I would have liked to have played with. But I Wish I Were Twins is one of those kind of Zoot Sims records that you don't see too often. I found it for $7 on almost a mid copy. And again, 7 or 8 tunes. Band stretches out. Jimmy Rollins, I think this is maybe his greatest playing is on this record. And with Akira Tana, it's an interesting band in New York. Zoot Sims. In my top 10 of Zoot Sims Pablo records, I Wish I Were There. 1981, released in 1981. But just listen to how Jimmy Rollins and Zoot plays on this record. And all of these records probably are equally good sounding. I'd say that the Swinger record is really, really well done, and we'll talk about a couple more here that may stand out. So CD, I do have CDs. I don't have this on vinyl. Probably ought to have it on vinyl, but it's Art and Zoot, Art Pepper and Zoot Sims. Again, let's see here, 1981. West Coast band, and this was recorded in LA in September of 81. I think live, huh? I never realized that such a good recording. Wow. But listen to this band, Art Pepper, Zoot Sims, Kessel, Barney Kessel, Victor Feldman, piano, Ray Brown on bass, Charlie Hayden on bass, on some tunes, and Billy Higgins on drums. This is a must. Art and Zoot. I need to get this on vinyl. But recorded, in LA live. The mix on this is the sound on this is okay. It's good. It's not equal to the Val Valentines or the Simpsons engineered CDs or LPs, but Art and Zoot, Art Pepper and Zoot Sims, a must-have. Okay, moving along, we have one of my top 3 records, Suddenly It's Spring, and I'll tell you why I put this in my top 3. It's because of Jimmy Rollins. Man, does he play on this? This, I think, is equal to or better than anything that Zoot has done with Jimmy Rollins at piano. Again, with George Mraz and Akira Tana. This was done in 1981. 1981? No, I'm sorry, 1983. 2 years after the recording, what we talked about a couple back that was done in 81. But great tunes on this. A tune called Brahms, I think. It's kind of a Latin tune. If you want to stream this, or if you don't have it, or if you just buy it, Zoot's playing on I Can't Get Started is just amazing. And so is Jimmy Rollins, by the way. But some really up-tempo tunes and a couple great ballads. I Can't Get Started, Never Let Me Go, what a great tune. And Zoot, man, this is where his sound just explodes, this warm sound. Zoot died, in '85, so this is 2 years before he died. I think Zoot's greatest playing was in the last 3 or 4 years of his life. What a sound, what a record. In my top three, this one. Suddenly, it's spring 2310, 898 on Pablo, of course. Easy to find, folks, easy to find. A really interesting record that he did is called Quietly There. Zoot Sims plays Johnny Mandel. And again, a little bit different group. This was done in California in 1984, a year before Zoot died. But great tunes, Johnny Mandel tunes. Quietly There, Time for Love. Here's Zoot play on that. It's a great. Again, I hate to say it, but these are all great. Zoot, he plays so great on here. And what a band. Mike Walford on piano, Chuck Berghofer on bass. great bass player, part of the Wrecking Crew, who did it all. Nick Ceroli on drums, the drummer from Herb Alpert's Tijuana Brass, of all things. Victor Feldman plays percussion on this. But Berghofer and Walford really do a great job backing up Zoot. I think if I had to have one Zoot record, it would be the last one, Suddenly It's Spring. This would be a very close second. And I would have loved to hear Jimmy Rollins on this. Not that Walford plays bad, but Berghofer on bass is just amazing. Amazing bass player. Still playing, I believe, in LA. But this is one of those must records from Zoot. Not least, is a record that was recorded in 1980, but not released until later in 1980 by Pablo. On the Pablo Today grouping of records that had the purple label, Pablo did a number of things. This is the 2312 series called Passion Flowers. Zoot Sims plays Duke Ellington and Duke Ellington standards. They have some large group in here. It's Benny Carter did the arrangements. I could go through the personnel, but it's all first-class guys. Bobby Bryant, with a lead player on trumpet. Frank West, Marshall Royal, Plas Johnson, Buddy Collette, and Jimmy Rollins on piano again. Zoot loved working with Rollins. And a couple of drummers. They did this in 3 dates with 3 different drummers. Great Tate, John Clay, Shelly Mann again. A great band and a good sounding record on the Pablo Today label. Later in Pablo's releases 2312 series. I guess they had these tapes and decided to deal with them. But man, what a great record. Duke Ellington in a mellow tone. I Got It Bad, That Ain't Good. The typical Duke Ellington tunes here. But great backup band. And Benny Carter, for my money, is a genius. So I left one record out that if I had to get rid of all the rest of these and only keep one Zoot Sims record, it would be the one I'm going to talk about now. And that is Hawthorne Nights. This is recorded in 1977. Arranged and conducted by Bill Holman, a great arranger and conductor from Los Angeles. Done in I believe, in Capitol Studios in LA. But you got Zoot Sims, of course, and Richard Kamuka and Jerome Richardson. How about Frank Rossellino on trombone on here? The great Frank Rossellino. Oscar Bashir, Snooky Young, Ross Tompkins, piano player from The Tonight Show. Did a lot of work with Sheldon for our next video. Monty Budwig, Dick Sorelli again, arranged and conducted by Bill Holman. And there are 8 tunes on here and great playing. One of the top sounding recordings that Zoot Sims did on Pablo. And like I say, if I had to keep one Zoot Sims record, get rid of the rest, this is the one I'd keep. Hawthorne Nights, a must-have in the top 3. Okay, so we're almost done here. I'm going to just briefly mention 2 or 3 more records, 2 more records and 2 CDs that aren't in Pablo, but stuff that I think that documents Zoot's playing and stuff that should be in your library if you're a Zoot Sims fan. Of course, you know he did collaborations with Al Cohn, another reed player. Excuse me, he did a lot of recordings with Zoot, did a lot of writing together, and they were best friends for many, many, many years. Let's start with this one. This one is called The Brothers. And on here, I guess it's a tribute to the Woody Herman brothers. This was first released on Prestige in 1962 with Zoot, Stan Getz, Al Cohn, Alan Edgar, and Brew Moore on sax. Kai Wending on trombone, Art Blakey. There's 2 dates on here. Blakey, Percy Heath, and Walter Bishop are on one, and George Wallington, Gene Ramey on bass, and Charlie Perry on drums are on the other. This is originally recorded in 2 sessions, 1948 and 52. The OJC reissue is a Van Gelder master. He remastered the original 10-inch issues from the period of 1948 and 1952. But really a great record that documents Zoot Sims' playing with some great players on here. One that you should think about. I know this is going long. I'm going to try to get through this quick. Here's an Al Cohn Zoot Sims record that was originally done on Muse, and it's called Al Cohn Zoot Sims Body and Soul. It was originally done on Muse 5016 with, wait here, this band, George DeVivier in bass. If you look him up, look what he's done. And he's done it all. Jackie Byron on the piano, and Mel Lewis on drums. This is a later reissue on I don't know, some crazy label, 32 Jazz. I don't think they're around anymore out of New York. But it's the original Muse record, Body and Soul, Al Cohn Zoot Sims. Speaking of Al Cohn and Zoot Sims, this record's still around on Discogs for very, very cheap, and it's really good, well recorded. So small label called Jazz Records. I don't think they're around anymore. But again, on 2 dates, recorded in 57 and 58, but reissued on Jazz Records, and I believe this came out. I'm guessing. I guess I don't have it down here, but I think it was in the 90s, 92, 93. So it's actually a pretty well-engineered record off the original tapes, which were in good shape from 57 to 58, based upon tunes of Hoagie Carmichael, Al Cohn, Zoot Sims. Great band, Nick Travis, Jimmy Cleveland, and then Milt Hinton. What a great bass player. Ozzie Johnson on drums. Elliot Lawrence on piano. This is a really good record and can be found very inexpensively somewhere, especially on Discogs, where I got my copy. Al Cohn and Zoot Sims. Great cover too, isn't it? Well, that about wraps it up. I know I went a little long on this. I could have gone another, boy, another half hour anyhow, but I try to keep these as concise as possible. But again, I thank you all for checking it out. If you made it this long, thank you. Again, Zoot on Pablo. I think his best play in 1981 or 1979, 80, 81 through his later years. His next to last record was made on Pablo. But thank you for being here. If you like what you heard, please hit the like button and the subscribe button and all that good stuff, because it does help the channel out. Next video, I think it's going to be obscure recordings I've found lately from Jack Sheldon. Anyhow, thank you all, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.